And thank you for coming to this screening of Sorcerer. I had the pleasure of knowing Billy Friedkin fairly well. We did a book together. We did a few retrospectives in Italy, in Paris, and in New York. He loved this movie. It was his favorite film. He actually almost sued Warner Brothers for Paramount to be able to get it out of the vault and restore it. And in fact, it was Warner Brothers that did the restoration. So I knew I wanted to do something for Billy at this festival, and it makes sense to make this film. And it gives me enormous pleasure that to introduce it is a filmmaker that not only knew and loved Billy, but also that shares the punk filmmaking spirit that Billy carried with himself through his life and his career. So here to introduce Sorcerer is Josh Safdie. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. I'm not sure the room is big enough to warrant a microphone, but Friedkin loved amplified sound, so we'll use this. This is a very, very unique film. There's absolutely nothing like it, despite the fact that it's technically a remake. I guess he often talks about, I know that when first and foremost, the movie is named after a Miles Davis record, which is strange that he had this film. Does everyone know what the film is about? I imagine that you have read a little bit about what the movie is, and technically it's a remake of a French film, in premise only. But the film itself came after the making of Exorcist, which came after making French Connection, which is like one of the craziest 1-2 punches that probably ever exists. And you have this insane critical success in French Connection, then you have The Exorcist, which was this phenomena, rightfully so. And I think that I read a story where he was showing the film in the Philippines, and each reel was dubbed in a different language. And but no one in the theater cared. They were watching the movie for its feeling and for its faith. And here you have this Jewish guy making this uber Catholic movie, and what is God and what is spirituality, and really I think it's a movie about psychiatric assessments and psychology. But after that movie, he often talked about trying to remain true to his roots as like this very poor kid from Chicago, and he got a very big head after The Exorcist. I think he talks about that as you would be an abnormal not to, and he didn't really know what to do with his life, and he and Coppola and Bogdanovich were given basically an arm of a studio. I forgot which studio. Do you remember what studio it was?
No,
was it Columbia?
Columbia. Yeah,
where
it was the director's company.
They did Last Picture Show and the director's company. Yes, exactly. And then, yeah, exactly. Great movies. And he fashioned himself as kind of a studio head for this period. And I think Coppola came up to him and said, "Oh, I have my protege has this science fiction movie that I think would be great for us. It's called Star Wars." And he said, "This is terrible. We're not doing this film." The irony is that it came out the year The Sorcerer came out. It came out at the same time, and it just completely dwarfed this film. But this is a strange movie regardless. But he didn't know what to do for a couple years, and he always kind of followed the path that he believed. You had an interest in something, you did it. And if The Exorcist was about faith, this is a movie about fate, and I think hell. It's a very hellish film, and inside hell is a lot of anxiety. I think you're in purgatory, you're thinking about all the bad things that you've done and trying to run away from them. And if anyone gives you the opportunity to run away from those fears and anxieties, you naturally should be suspicious. And these four men, as in the Clouseau film, they they think that they have an out, and that's not how life works. And the movie is an incredible, I guess, depiction of tension and living entirely in the moment. And the makeup, I mean, there's nothing remotely normal about this film. That's why even the title Sorcerer, you know, what is the sorcerer? Who's guiding these people? And, you know, the opening of the film, just to show 4 stories as the first act of a movie, and then which the Clouseau film doesn't do. It just opens with these in this wretched town. But you know, so what is guiding these people? Who is guiding them? Why are they, you know, they're complete renegades by themselves on this path, again in purgatory, and then the decision to go and use the score, to use the band Tangerine Dream to do the soundtrack, you know, who were a relatively new band, particularly using electronics at the time. They were using real instruments, and they started to use electronic synthesizers. He's seen them in the Black Forest when he was in Munich, probably promoting The Exorcist. And he went to a concert in an abandoned church. No electricity, just the synthesizers, and there's some footage of it. And Edgar Froese, I think that's how you said his name, the head of the band. They just played these. They did these meditations, these, you know, arpeggios, these loops over and over again for 4 hours, and he just was transfixed and hypnotized. And he just went up to them and said, "I want you to do the score to my next movie." And it's called Sorcerer, and it's about these 4 guys and transferring nitroglycerin to an oil well. And they said sure, and they never saw the movie. And they did this. They just sent him a bunch of film reels, audio tape. I think 45 minutes, and that's all 45 minutes are in the movie. And they just arrived in the jungle, I think, and he had them. He was listening to them while he was making this movie, and the making of the movie was just, it's as hellish as the movie looks. I think he got malaria after he finished, like lots of, I mean, when you make a movie, there's like a kind of a blind leading the blind sort of faith that, you know, what you're doing is right or righteous, or there's purpose to it. And like the movie in a weird way. And that movie, I can't even imagine. I mean, I think someone almost lost a leg. He's like said multiple times that he's very lucky no one died. There was the making of the movie could have been a film in its own right, but no one would even go to where they were filming because you'd have to be crazy to film where they were. There was a great story about when he was searching for the right town to shoot in what, you know, he needed a jungle, and he finally found the right place. It's Mexico, right? And he's like, oh, this place will be great. And they're like, okay, he's going to come and film here. And they started to move their trucks towards the town. And as he was pulling into the town, there was all these people, one at a time. People are leaving, one person at a time. Like now there's a truck full of people, and the faces that he was seeing as they were leaving were fear. They were fright. He saw fright on their face and fear on their faces, and he was like, this is not a good sign to be going into a town to film, and something's going on here. What did they know that I don't know? And what they knew that he didn't know is that he was William Friedkin, the director of The Exorcist. And they were scared, as you might be. The Exorcist is the scariest movie ever made, and it feels like the devil himself directed it. In a large sense. I mean, it's just a freaky film. So now there's this guy making a movie. I don't know if it had a title by then. I think it did. Making a movie called Sorcerer, and it's scary. So they left town. They're like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Whatever bad is coming this way, and I guess the only bad that came of it in his mind is that like the movie completely, you know, tanked when it came out, and no one was interested in it. And he took all of the goodwill that he had earned with these 2 massive films and put economically, all that goodwill, and put it into this movie, spending $1 million on a bridge, building a hydraulic bridge to move these insane trucks that he manufactured just for the movie. And, and then they had to move the bridge from one river to another because the river dried out. And he had like basically a blank check. And, it didn't, it was not a financial success. But here we are many years, decades after, with the movie that he personally this is the version he restored.
This is restored.
Right?
He really dug it out. They didn't want to do it, and Paramount was still pissed. Also, I mean, this is typical of Billy. This is this oil company, and there is a little shack where they are there, and there is a photograph of the board, and that's the board of Gulf and Western.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So you imagine how they enjoy, seeing them like the
he didn't give a fuck about anything. He really didn't. He that was his way. Even. Sometimes with his wife, I would hear him talking when we were on the phone.
His wife, Sherry Lansing, used to run Paramount.
Yeah. I think he was good friends with Judge Judy, and they would just, go back and forth yelling at one another. That would be a great film conversation. Anyway, this is such a spectacular movie, and again, you guys all have, I think, a seat to use, but I promise you will only be using a piece of it. And it is definitely an anxious movie, and I feel right at home in it. So, have I taken up too much time? No. Okay. I didn't know if there was like a ticking clock on something like this.
There's no ticking.
I know I was a little late. So
we adjust the clocks. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So I can keep talking? Yeah. I don't have anything else to say. No. I really, it's strange. He hated introducing movies too. So I feel, has everyone in the room seen the film? No. So that's fantastic. Everyone's seen, I imagine, at least one of his films, right? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know. You never know. You meet people who've never seen, Star Wars or
that's a different.
Yeah.
That's a different.
Well, not in this world. Not in the film world. He's probably one of the most important filmmakers of all time. Just each film has a mystery inside of it that you can feel that he did not know going into it. Never rehearsed. I totally understand why. Never rehearsed a scene before he shot it. I think he did with The Exorcist, and then it was a massive mistake. So then he threw everything out while he was filming. But movies like Cruising, and there are these mystery films. Every movie is a kind of a mystery, and the mystery is the human psyche. And he was a bizarre person, strange cadence of speaking, and but had a force. And again, there's this mystery and this force in all of his movies, and I guess that is the definition of a sorcerer. So,
which is a title he always regretted picking because he said everybody was thinking about The Exorcist. So
or wizardry.
Wizardry, yeah. So it was.
And they get to the movie theater and Star Wars is sold out. I was like, I guess I'll go see the other science fiction film, Sorcerer. And the poster is strange. Not much to make of it. And it's obviously a collaboration of him and Roy Scheider again. Which he basically, French Connection was, I think, it was his first big hit, Scheider. So anyway, I'm looking forward to watching this with you and seeing this. I haven't seen the restoration. I've seen a print. I saw a 35 millimeter print, and I remember telling him that. I was like, he's like, I restored it. I was like, I saw a beautiful print. He said, there's no way there's a beautiful print. These prints were never struck new prints. They existed. No one screened them. They cracked. They faded. I said, I saw a really good one. He hated film. He loved digital cinema packages, DCPs. He loved them.
We were premiered this restoration in Venice when we gave him his career award. So it was a really nice night,
Oh, I bet. He loved technology. Yeah. He would often... he was interesting about his point of view on CG because he loved that it allowed filmmakers to think and create anything they want, but he also detested it because there was no mystery and reality to it.
There's no CG here, so be prepared. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, that bridge scene is just unbelievable. And and I encourage everyone to get the soundtrack afterwards, because there's few movies that you can listen to the soundtrack and are immediately transported to the vibe of the movie in like such an intense way, and this is one of them. So anyway, enjoy. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.